Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're doing something kind of radical. We are going to take 2,000-year-old ancient wisdom, specifically Marcus Aurelius' Meditations for Students, and we're going to use it to solve the very modern, very real chaos of being a student today. If you've ever felt just completely overwhelmed by social pressures, the crushing academic stress, or honestly, just the feeling that the whole shebang is spiraling totally out of control, well, you are exactly in the right place. So let's dive right into this.
So why does middle or high school feel like a literal war zone where nobody bothered to give you a map or, any armor? I really want to speak directly to you right now. If you feel like you are barely surviving the hallway, the lunchroom, or your social media feed, that is a perfectly rational response to your environment. You're not broken. You're not too sensitive. You're just navigating a genuinely chaotic system.
I mean, let's look at the hard science for a second. Your brain is quite literally under construction right now. The prefrontal cortex, which is the part that handles logic and perspective, is basically undergoing massive demolition and renovation, and it's being run by contractors who are way behind schedule. Meanwhile, your amygdala, the emotional center, is entirely running the show. Add in a tsunami of crashing hormones and the fact that you've just been dropped into this unforgiving social hierarchy that practically appeared out of thin air? Yeah. Those intense feelings of awkwardness or exclusion, that's just your neurobiology acting up. It is absolutely not a personal failing.
Section 1. An Emperor's Secret Diary.
So, our guide for this explainer is the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He lived almost 2,000 years ago and was, no joke, one of the most powerful people on the entire planet. But what's really fascinating about him is that despite his immense power, he felt the exact same overwhelming anxiety that you do. He was dealing with literal wars, terrible plagues, massive stress, and deep betrayals by people he actually trusted. And how did he cope with all of that? He wrote. The notes that make up his famous book, Meditations, were actually never intended for anyone else's eyes. These were totally private notes he scribbled to himself late at night in his tent. It was his own personal survival mechanism to just keep himself grounded, retain his sanity, and figure out how to live well when everything around him felt incredibly, unbelievably hard.
Section 2. Taking control of your mind. Okay, we call this the control circle dichotomy. Think of it like this. On one hand, you have the stuff you absolutely cannot control. Other people's opinions of you, your body going through puberty, those algorithms specifically designed to addict you, or whether your teachers are actually fair. But on the other hand, you have what you can control, your own thoughts, how you treat other people, what media you actually choose to consume, and your choice to ask for help when you need it. Separating the world into these two columns is the ultimate cheat code for mental freedom.
Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." Think of your brain like a smartphone with a million apps running at the exact same time. Now, most of those apps, you didn't even choose to download them. They were installed by your environment, by social media, by peer pressure. You have to start actively managing which apps you actually allow to run in the background. So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. You cannot control what happens to you, but you totally control the story you attach to it. Let's say you see on social media that you were left out of a weekend hangout. That is an event. It's totally neutral. But the story you tell yourself about it, that internal narrative screaming, "Nobody likes me," or "I'm a loser," that is where the actual damage happens. Marcus teaches us we have to separate the raw event from the story we invent about it.
Section 3. Dealing with difficult people.
When you are dealing with people who are meddling, arrogant, or honestly just plain cruel, your first instinct is usually to hit back, right? But Marcus says no. He says the best kind of revenge is not to become like unto them.
Look, engaging with people who are just trying to start internet drama or argue in bad faith is a whole lot like wrestling a pig in the mud. You both get dirty, but the pig actually likes it. Maintaining your dignity and just staying silent, that is hands down the loudest comeback you have in your arsenal.
Marcus also knew that you just can't please everyone. Trying to do that is going to destroy you. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're always the friend carrying everybody else's emotional baggage, but literally no one ever checks in on you, that's a problem. You've got to practice saying no to small things. True kindness requires protecting your own energy first. Focus on being someone you respect and just let the wrong people naturally filter themselves right out of your life.
Section 4. The obstacle is the forge.
Okay, listen to this massive mindset shift. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful reframes ever recorded in human history.
See, most people let failure totally define their identity. They think, well, I failed, so I guess I'm just not smart enough. But the Stoic view, it flips that entirely. Failure is just information. It's a redirection. Those exact struggles that are making you feel like a total weirdo or an outcast right now, they aren't blocking your path. They are the path. They are literally the fires forging your character, your empathy, and your independence.
So let's break this down into a very literal, actionable playbook. The very next time you absolutely bomb a math test or get rejected or face some massive public embarrassment, I want you to ask yourself these 3 things. 1, what did I actually learn from this? 2, what would I do differently next time? And 3, what is one small, tiny action I can take right now to move forward? You just take the emotion right out of it and you use the obstacle as your fuel.
Section 5. Building your inner fortress.
If the external world, the chaotic hallways, the loud cafeterias, the toxic comment sections, if all of that is hostile, you must actively build an internal world that is safe. Find your people, even if they're in online communities or totally outside of your school. Develop a cool skill that gives you an identity completely disconnected from the school's social ladder. Create a brief 5 to 10 minute daily practice just to calm your nervous system and ruthlessly, I mean ruthlessly, curate your digital inputs. Just unfollow any accounts that make you feel inadequate.
Now, the whole idea that discipline is freedom sounds kind of backwards, doesn't it? But discipline isn't a punishment. Doing your homework on time, managing when you go to bed, setting up a solid routine, doing all of that actually unlocks guilt-free free time and energy. Think about it. The student who just does whatever they want whenever they want isn't actually free. They're entirely controlled by their random impulses and mood swings. They're basically just a leaf blowing around in the wind. Discipline is what actually gives you control.
I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought. Take a second and imagine yourself at age 25 looking back at who you are today. What advice would that older, wiser version of you give you right now? What would they tell you to just stop stressing over? What would they tell you truly, genuinely matters? Listen to that voice. Because you aren't broken. You are just breaking through. The chaos around you is incredibly real, but so is your ability to build an inner calm that absolutely nobody can touch. You've got this. Take that advice, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.